In a world where the V8 engine was once the ultimate symbol of power and prestige, it seemed almost impossible for a small V6 engine to survive, let alone become a legend. But the Buick 231 cubic inch V6 managed to do just that. Born in a turbulent era, amid oil crises, emissions regulations from the Environmental Protection Agency, and mounting fuel economy pressure, this engine did not merely survive, it thrived. From a design once abandoned by General Motors, it returned stronger and eventually became the beating heart of millions of General Motors vehicles for over 30 years. How did an engine originally seen as a stopgap solution become the foundation for one of the most durable V6 engine lines in American history? Let us uncover the incredible journey of the Buick 231, a small engine with a massive legacy. Few people realize that the origins of the Buick 231 trace back to the early 1960s, when General Motors aimed to develop a smaller, more fuel-efficient engine to replace traditional V8 power plants. Based on the 215 cubic inch V8 architecture, Buick introduced a 198 cubic inch V6 in 1962, later enlarging it to 225 cubic inches, which became common in Jeep models and the Buick Special. However, in 1967, General Motors unexpectedly sold the rights and tooling for the engine to American Motors Corporation. AMC used it in Jeep CJ and Wagoneer models, rebranding it as the Dauntless V6. It seemed the story of this V6 was over. But in 1973, when the oil crisis struck, General Motors suddenly realized they no longer had a compact six-cylinder engine, efficient enough to meet market demands. In an unprecedented move, GM bought back the very engine they had once sold. In an unprecedented move, GM bought back the very engine they had once sold. But when production resumed in 1975, they made almost no significant design changes. This also meant they inherited the shortcomings of the original layout. The 90-degree V configuration was originally meant for 8 cylinders. When reduced to 6, it produced uneven firing intervals known as odd fire due to irregular crankshaft timing. The result was a vibration-prone engine with harsh sound and a less refined feel. Compared to the silky smooth inline sixes of the era, Buick's V6 sounded odd and ran rough. However, it was undeniable that the engine was more compact, cheaper, and easier to install, especially in small or front-wheel drive vehicles. That advantage gave General Motors a reason to keep developing it, with a focus on addressing its biggest flaw: vibration and uneven power delivery. In 1977, Buick engineers introduced a crucial redesign of the crankshaft to create the even fire version. With firing intervals evenly spaced at 120 degrees, this allowed all 6 cylinders to operate in better balance, significantly reducing vibration and improving overall smoothness. More than just a technical fix, it marked a turning point where Buick's 6-cylinder had matured. Driving experiences in models like the Regal, LeSabre, or Oldsmobile Cutlass became far more refined and enjoyable, shedding the roughness of earlier versions. While still retaining its compact packaging and low manufacturing cost, the updated version erased its reputation as a temporary solution. It proved that Buick could deliver a V6 engine refined enough to compete with inline-six designs that dominated the market in smoothness. After being upgraded into the even fire version, this 6-cylinder power plant quickly proved its real-world value beyond expectations. General Motors realized they had an engine that was powerful enough, fuel-efficient, and versatile across vehicle types from mid-size sedans to light trucks. Not only models from Buick, such as the Regal and Century, but other brands within the General Motors family, including Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac, also took advantage of its benefits. Buick's six-cylinder was featured in popular vehicles like the Chevrolet Monte Carlo, Oldsmobile Cutlass, Pontiac Grand Prix, and even wagons like the LeSabre Estate and Bonneville Safari. Importantly, it worked with both rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive layouts, especially as GM shifted to front-drive platforms. Thanks to its compact size and adaptability, the engine became an extremely cost-effective solution for the American automaker throughout the 1980s. From an economic perspective, the Buick 231 was the perfect puzzle piece that helped GM meet strict fuel economy regulations without investing heavily in new technologies. But Buick did not stop there. They believed this engine had far more potential, not just as a fuel saver, but also as a performance platform. In the late 1970s, Buick engineers began experimenting with turbocharging. At first, the idea sounded risky. Adding a turbo to a V6, originally meant for economy, cars could raise serious concerns about durability, but they made it work. The first production turbo version arrived in 1978 on the Regal Sport Coupe. Even with a carburetor, this turbocharged engine delivered around 165 horsepower, making it a true rival to many V8s of the era. Remarkably, it was lighter, more efficient, and still compliant with tightening emission standards. The turbocharger opened a new chapter for this six-cylinder line. No longer just a budget option, it began delivering excitement and sporty driving feel. More importantly, it proved that true strength does not come from cylinder count, but from how you unlock the engine's full potential. And nothing illustrates that better than the wide range of versions created for the 231 cubic inch V6, from fuel savers to performance icons. In the late 1970s, two-barrel carbureted versions like the LD5 were the most common, producing between 110 and 125 horsepower. They powered a variety of mid-size sedans under Buick, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac. By the 1980s, electronic fuel injection became the standard. The LG3 engine used a reliable throttle body injection setup, while the LN3 featured more advanced multi-point injection, delivering up to 150 horsepower and significantly better low-end torque. The crown jewel was the LC2, a turbocharged beast found in the Buick Grand National and GNX, featuring sequential fuel injection and precision-tuned boost control. The LC2 pushed out 245 horsepower and 355 pound-feet of torque. These were not just big numbers, they were a statement that a V6 could outperform many V8s. All versions retained the overhead valve design with 2 valves per cylinder, compression ratios ranging from 8.0 to 9.5, an even-fire crankshaft, and a cast-iron block. It was a durable, flexible platform, ready to serve a wide range of needs. A durable platform with the flexibility to serve many different purposes. That is what made Buick's six-cylinder engine a benchmark when compared to its contemporaries. Whether from Ford, Chrysler, or even other divisions within General Motors, the differences were clear when placed alongside the 231 cubic inch V6. First was the Ford inline 6 300 cubic inch engine, famous for its reliability and load-carrying strength, especially in light trucks. However, its long block design made it difficult to package in compact or front-wheel drive vehicles. Buick's V6 with its shorter layout and more versatile fit, quickly became the go-to choice for space-conscious designs. From Chrysler, V6 engines like the 3.2 and 3.3 appeared only in the late 1980s and were still evolving. Compared to these newcomers, Buick already had a decade of engineering maturity and proven performance in the real world. Even within General Motors, many V6 engines came and went, but none achieved the consistency and popularity of the 231. That success was not just about performance or reliability, but because its foundational design was ideal for further development. The Buick 231 featured a simple yet effective layout, with a cast-iron block, overhead valve configuration with 2 valves per cylinder, and an even-fire crankshaft that delivered far smoother operation than the earlier odd-fire version. More importantly, it struck the right balance between fuel economy and rising power demands of the 1980s market. Thanks to its adaptable structure, engineers did not need to start from scratch for the next generation. With updated cylinder heads, intake systems, and engine management, they could build a stronger, smoother, and more efficient successor. That successor was the 3800 series, which retained the same core block architecture but introduced major refinements throughout. From heads to ignition and electronics, everything was improved without altering the core. It was a testament to Buick's smart engineering and long-term vision. This is a testament to Buick's intelligent design and long-term strategy. When an engine is not only maintained, but successfully upgraded over generations, it speaks volumes about its core value. In the classic car community, the Buick 231 still holds a special place. Although it does not receive the same praise as muscle-bound V8s, this 6-cylinder is cherished for its durability, ease of maintenance, and consistent performance. Many owners of Buick Regal or Oldsmobile Cutlass models continue to run original engines, seeing them as essential to preserving historical authenticity. Notably, the custom car scene has also taken interest in its turbocharged variants. With relatively low cost and strong potential, enthusiasts often build up LC2 engines to exceed 300 horsepower, all while maintaining impressive reliability. On online forums and enthusiast groups, fans of this engine often share tuning tips, restoration stories, and pride in keeping a piece of American mechanical history alive. But alongside that, a recurring question continues to surface. Is it time to bring the Buick 231 back? Some argue that with electric vehicles dominating the future, reviving a cast-iron OHV engine is impractical. However, within certain niches like classic car builds, off-road specialty projects, or the aftermarket scene, this engine could still have a place if updated with modern engineering. Revival does not have to come from the original manufacturer. With a team of independent engineers, a specialty tuning shop, or a passionate DIY community, the Buick 231 could be brought back to life on its own terms. By preserving its mechanical simplicity and reliability while adding modern fuel management, ignition, and materials, it could become an attractive option for those who value heritage and usability. Whether preserved or reborn, the Buick 231 remains a symbol of classic American engineering, where people, tools, and machines move in harmony. From an engine once sold off for being underestimated, the Buick 231 cubic-inch V6 defied expectations and earned its place in American mechanical history. It was never the most powerful, nor the most advanced, but it proved the value of durability, adaptability, and smart engineering. For over 3 decades, it served millions of Americans quietly and reliably. Even today, the unique rumble of the even-fire V6 can still be heard every morning in the garages of true enthusiasts. If you ever owned a vehicle powered by this engine, or are building a project around it, we would love to hear your story. Would you preserve it as is, or bring it back in a new form? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep celebrating timeless mechanical heritage together.